Hi there, I'm Sebastian from 29295C Stratford Robotics. This is going to be a video about how we CAD robots, because we've seen a lot of comments recently on our Robot in 24 Hours video, and had a lot of questions about what software we use to CAD, what parts libraries we use, how to get the parts, so we thought we would cover them in a video so that you can make robots just like these. So you might be wondering, like, why is CADing even important? And the main reason it's important is because it just makes the build process a lot smoother. It's a lot easier to test out locations of parts and where you place certain mechanisms just a lot quicker than doing it in real life. Testing out different designs, seeing what spacings work, all these things are just a lot faster to do in CAD. You don't have to take apart all the parts when you can just press one button and they're all gone. So we're going to split the video up into a couple different parts. The first part I'm going to show you how to download the library of parts that we use to CAD all these robots. I'm going to go over some basic tips and tricks and tools and how to use them. And then in a separate video, I'm going to CAD a full drivetrain and walk through the process. And then in another part, we're going to show you how to render these robots so you can make them look real nice. So, the parts library that we use to CAD robots is the VEX CAD Fusion 360 parts library from the VEX CAD Discord. There's two versions of this library at the moment. There's the 1.0 version and the 2.0 version. The 1.0 version's a bit older, but the main difference between the two is that the 1.0 version uses an add-in in Fusion to change the length of parts, whereas the 2.0 version it just has every single length of part available. The 2.0 version is a little bit more updated to more recent parts that are available and game objects. For the purposes of this video, I'm going to use the 1.0 library because that's the one I know the most about and have used for the longest time. So, what I'm going to do to start downloading this library is we're going to hit the library download, and that will immediately start downloading the parts library. And I'm also going to hit the add-in download. This is the add-in that allows you to change the lengths of parts that I mentioned before. This won't exist in the 2.0 library, but for the purpose of this video, I'm going to use it. So start the download on that as well. Alright, so once those two are both downloaded, you will find them in your downloads folder, and you can just go ahead and extract both of them. So now that those are both downloaded and extracted, I'm going to head over to Fusion, and I'm going to open a new project. I'll just call it Robotics. Open that up, and you're going to want to also open up the parts library, and you'll see that in the parts library there's all of these folders. And you can go into these folders and you can see all the parts here, and there's also more folders in said folders. And what you basically want to do is recreate the folder structure in Fusion. I'll start with these top ones. So we'll go here, hit new folder, electronics, and then I'll go into the electronics folder. I'll make the sensors one. We also got wires. There's no folder in here, so we're good. And there's also no folder in here, so we're also good. And then you just keep going down the list. I'm going to do this real quick. And a tip to doing this, you can use a split screen. Move that over there, this over here. Then you can see both at the same time. So I'm going to go ahead and do this real quick. Alright, so now I got all those folders set up. We can start importing parts. So I'll start with electronics, go into the folder, and you'll see this blue upload button here. So you click that, and you'll see you can drag and drop files here. So all you gotta do, grab the files in that folder, drag and drop, and then just hit upload. And you'll see them all pop up here. So once those are uploaded, you can just go on to the next folder and hit upload, go into the folder here, grab all those, put them in there, hit upload, rinse and repeat until you've got the whole library downloaded. I've already got the library downloaded, so I'm not going to go and do that right now, but once you've done that, then you're done with the library and you got it all downloaded. So chances are not all the parts that you need are in that library, and if you want to download more parts, VEX has every single part, the CAD files for every single part on their website. So if I just go to VEX V5, and let's say I wanted to get, I don't know, flex wheels. They should show up. Make sure that you're picking the ones that are V5 compatible. And if you scroll down to the bottom here, you'll see CAD files. Right here, you can just see all the different CAD files for all types of flex wheels. And if you want, you can preview. And this goes for pretty much every single other part available on the VEX website. So super easy to download, and you just import them the same way that you upload all the rest of the other parts from the library. Now the library's all set up. I'll show how to install the add-in for anyone using the 1.0 library. What you'll want to do is go here in this upper bar to Utilities, and just click on Add-ins here, Scripts and Add-ins, and this little menu will pop up. You'll want to go to the Add-ins tab, and hit this little plus button here, and that will bring you to the add-ins folder in Fusion. And what you can do, open up Files, go to Downloads, wherever you put your add-in that you downloaded originally, and you just want to grab this add-in file and drag and drop it into here. And then once that's in there, you can just hit that, click Select Folder, and then find it in here. So VEX CAD Library, you want to have it run on startup, so you don't have to come to this menu and activate it every time. And then just hit the Run button right there. So the first thing you're going to want to know how to do is to import files into your project. So if I want to grab a C channel, the most common type of C channel, one that everyone knows and loves, is the 2x C channel right here. And the way that you import things is you just click and drag into your little workspace here. I've seen a lot of people think that they can double click, and what happens when you double click is it just opens the file. So it just opens the 2xc channel file, and you don't want to mess around with this because that is the file for every 2xc channel. So make sure you don't do that, and make sure that you click and drag and put it into this project. So it'll pop up, and the first thing you'll see is the Move and Copy menu. And I'll go over all the different types of move tools later, but this just allows you to kind of move it out of the way. If it's inside your existing robot, you can just slide it out of the way. If you don't care about where exactly it is, these little planes here correspond to the XYZ plane, so if I grab this bottom one, I can just click and drag, and it's only moving around on that plane. After you've moved it to where you want, you can hit OK, and this is the VEX CAD add-in, the Modify Part tool. This allows you, off the bat, to change the length of a C channel in this case. So let's say I wanted 15 holes, just type 15 in here. You can also click and drag this little slider, although sometimes it skips a number. See, I can't even get 15. Let's say I wanted 15 holes, hit that, click OK, and it will cut it to length right away. That menu obviously won't pop up if you have the 2.0 VEX library, because every single length of C channel will be in the menu. So now I'm going to go over some of the tools and functions in Fusion 360 that I use the most. So I'm going to go over the VEX CAD Modify tool that you won't have if you have the 2.0 library, but I'm going to show it anyways. The Move tool, the Align tool, and how to organize parts and components, which just helps a lot with organization of larger robots. Alright, so starting it off with the VEX CAD Modify tool, you will find the add-in and the tool under this little tab here that pops up, VEX CAD Library. If you click that, you'll see the Modify Part tool. And if you click on this, you can see Modify Part, select the parts. You just go to whatever part you want to modify. And I've got all these parts here set up, because these are all parts that are usable but with the Modify tool, but they work in different ways. So C channels like these, you can click it, and you can choose the amount of holes to wherever you want, and you can also just choose the distance, and it'll tell you the distance as well, which is quite nice. So there you go, you can cut that. This also works with any other part in the structure section of the library, including L brackets like these. And then it works also the same with high strength and low strength shafts. And you can choose whatever size you want. Now these shafts will have a maximum, and that is the max, which is 12 inches, and that's the longest you can actually buy a shaft. And then same goes for high strength shafts. So it works a little differently with gears and wheels. So you can't change the type of gear or the size or whatever, but you can change the insert, so this little bit in here. So right now, we've got a square insert in here, and you can change what type of insert it is with the VEX CAD Modify tool. So you can see here, you can choose none, square, and round. So if I choose none, you can see the insert disappears. And if I choose round, it's now a round hole. So there you go. Changes the insert on both sides. And then it works the same on any type of wheel. So if I hit none, now there's no insert at all. It works also slightly differently with screws, spacers, and standoffs. So with a screw, you'll see there's this drop-down menu here that says standard sizes. So this is all the standard sizes that you can buy screws in. So starting at 1/4 of an inch all the way up to 2 inches, you can just choose whatever size you want. I suggest pretty much always using the standard size menu. You can specify the distance and drag this little slider here, but it doesn't, you'll see it changes to custom, and that's because it's no longer using one of those standard sizes. Always using one of these standard sizes means that you guarantee to have that length of screw. It means that your spacing will always be correct. And then a similar thing for standoffs, where you can use this drop-down menu. It gives you all of the sizes of standoff that are available, and you can choose whatever one. And then same goes for spacers, 1/2 an inch being the largest. And then these are the older spacers, where they actually use millimeters, which is very strange. But they do exist, and you can change between those two sizes there. And moving on now to the Move tool. You can get to the Move tool by either the menu at the top here, and it's just this little cross, or you can just click M on your keyboard, and that's the shortcut to the Move tool. You can see here, you can select the part by kind of hovering over it. I suggest that you select the part first, because when you select the part first, it moves from the center of the part, and not from one of the edges. You can do that by hovering over an edge or a face and double-clicking. That's the fastest way to select the whole component. Or you can go to the menu on the left here and just select it from there. And then if I hit M, this thing will pop up, this little tool in the middle. And this is the first variant of the Move tool, so that's free move. And so from here you can rotate in whatever direction. And you can also slide it along the axes. And you can specify the distance by just typing it in right here. So if I want to move it 2 inches, boom. So next is the point-to-point Move tool. So under the menu here, you can see there's this point-to-point version. Click on that, you'll see origin point and target point. So you first want to select a point on the object that you want to move. So let's pretend that this is some form of arm, and I want to stick it on this axle here. I'm going to go ahead and select this outer point here. Great. We want to select the point that we want to move it to. So in this case, I'm going to choose this point right here, because that's aligned with the middle of this axle. So click right there, and you can see that it just moves itself right to that point. And this leads into the next tool, or sub-tool you could call it, because it's using the free Move tool. And you'll see here there's an option to set pivot. And what this basically does is it moves this this origin, this pivot, to wherever you want. So if I click on it, you can see I can now put this wherever I want. If I want, say if this was an arm or something and I wanted to have it move around this axle, what I can do is just choose like the end of the axle here, the middle of the axle, and now the origin point, or the pivot point of the C channel here is temporarily set to the middle of this axle. You first have to click this done key here, and then I can rotate it, and you'll see it'll rotate around that origin, which is nice when you want to change the angle of an intake or an arm or whatever. So if I rotate it, hit OK, great, now we've got an angle, and if I go back, you'll see that the pivot point has now returned to the middle. It doesn't stay there all the time. You don't have to move it back and forth. The next tool I'm going to go over is the Align tool. This tool is a little hidden, but it's one of the tools that I use the most because of how easy it is to use. So under the Modify menu here, this drop down, if you go all the way down here, you can see right here is the Align tool. And something I have done because of how much I use it is you can see under these three little dots here, there's these options, pin to toolbar and also pin to shortcuts. What I've done is pinned to shortcuts. The shortcuts menu you can access by pressing S on your keyboard, and it pulls up this design shortcuts menu. You can also like look up tools here, like if I look up move, the move tool will come up here. Tools that you've pinned to your shortcuts menu will pop up right here. So you can see the Align tool is right here. So if I select the Align tool, you'll see it's pretty similar to the point-to-point tool. So you choose a point to move an object from and a point to move it to. Let's say I wanted to put this corner of this C channel onto this corner of this C channel. So I'm going to go ahead and select this corner here, and then you'll see it moves to the move to. I'm going to select to this C channel here. You don't need to, unlike the point-to-point tool, you actually don't need to select the whole part. You just need to select a point on the part. So once I click that, you'll see they just moved towards each other. And you can see you've got a couple options here. You've got flip and angle, and what this does is it just rotates at 90 degrees, the angle button, and whenever you press this, it just rotates at 90 degrees around. It's more than often you're going to want to move parts 90 degrees or 180 degrees or whatnot, and so this just makes it a lot faster. The other thing it does, if you hit flip, it basically flips it from on top to the other side of that point. So sometimes it won't always line up. Like you can see this is inside of it, so that's why the flip tool's there, to just flip it upright to whatever spot you want. Something to note about the Align tool is that you can only move singular parts with it. Unlike the point-to-point move tool, you can select a whole group of parts and then move from one point in that group to another point. With the Align tool, you can only select one object. You can't select multiple. So I thought I should also mention how to copy and paste parts. So if you select the part you want, it's pretty simple, same as every other program. Just Control-C and then Control-V. This menu will usually pop up, and you want to capture position. So basically what this is whenever you move a part, unless you've hit capture position, you're able to hit revert position, and it will just revert it back to before you moved it. Unless you want to revert all of your moves that you've done, you want to hit capture position, and it'll just capture the position of that part. And now you can see we've got two C channels when I move it out. And something to note is that these two C channels are now linked. You can see on here you've got aluminum C channel aluminum V1.1 and then V1.2. Interestingly, when you use the Modify Part tool on either a part that you've copied or the original part, it will actually affect the other one. So you can see both of them change length. And same goes if I select the one that I copied, change the length of this, and it changes the original part. So whenever you want to import a different length of C channel, you probably want to import another C channel and change the length. So one of the easiest ways to organize parts in Fusion is to use components. So you can see here I've got the start of a drivetrain going on. I'm going to import my wheel, and then I'm going to move it over, and I'll use the point-to-point tool. Whenever you select a circle, it will automatically go to the middle point of that circle. So to organize your parts is use this tool up here, so you can make a new component. You'll see that the whole project is selected, and you do want that. That means that this component is nested under the project, and I'm going to name it wheel assembly. Click OK. It'll look all weird, but that's just because right now you've got the component selected. To get out of this, you just have to go up to your project here, click this little activate button, and now you're back in the main project. What I can do is, in the browser here, I can click my wheel and my gear, and you want to click and drag them into your component. There we go, and now, if I click this little menu, you can see they are under this component here. And so what this allows you to do is just organize like your files a lot better. This early season high stakes drivetrain here is a great example of good organization using components. You can see here all the major components of the robot are divided into different components on the left in the browser here. And even inside these we've got the halves of the drivetrain and the frame of the drivetrain. And organizing it like this just makes it a lot easier to find and isolate certain sections of your robot. Especially when you get really big robots, it's really important to have that organization so you can find parts easily. So rather than having to select the gear and then select the wheel, what I can do instead is just click this whole component. We can go Control C, Control V, and you'll see it'll make another component. Sometimes the sometimes the origin puts itself in some strange location, and you can use the set pivot tool to just move it back. And then now I've got a second one. So the final thing that I'll go over is just some tools found around the menu. So this bar at the bottom here, you might have seen me do it earlier. You can disable and enable certain things. So the grid, you can disable and enable that. And then also under display settings, under object visibility, you can disable and enable a lot of different things here. One of the main ones is sketches. So all of these little points here, they're considered sketches. So if I disable this, you can see they go away. Another interesting thing you can do in the menu is if you hover over the box in the top right here, you'll see this little drop-down menu here, and if you click on that, you can actually choose between perspective view and orthographic view. So if I click orthographic view, you can see there's no perspective now, so if I use the box here to align with the front, it's just looking straight down the parts, no matter what angle I'm at. This is really helpful for lining up things like spacing, making sure that nothing's clipping into each other. That menu is also accessible under display settings, under camera, and you can change it under here as well. That's all I'm going to cover in this video. But make sure to look out for the next one where I'm going to show you how to CAD a drivetrain just like this one right here. So thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.